What's going on, guys, and welcome to the Hikers Network, where our mission here is to bring positivity, info, and knowledge in the backpacking world. Today I'm joined with Nate, and we got three things on our list. We're going to do a Q&A first, and Nate has never been backpacking before. We're going next weekend, so he's going to do kind of like a live Q&A with me and ask me some questions that maybe you would ask if you're new to backpacking. Second, we are joined by none other than Dan Becker, and Dan is going to tell us about the Nitecore NU25 versus the Black Diamond Revolt. These are both rechargeable headlamps, so he'll go into some pros and cons on that. And then lastly, we will have our subscriber hack of the day. Now remember, if you want to be featured on the subscriber hack of the day, make sure that down in the comments, write your favorite hack and then hashtag it subscriber hack. All right, let's get right into it. Nate, we're going backpacking this weekend, starting all from scratch. I haven't told him anything about our trip, where we're going, what he needs, and I haven't seen any of these questions, nor have I heard them. So Nate, what's the first thing you got for me?
All right, so the biggest one, which took me a second to, or I still don't even really know, define hiking versus backpacking. This is something that I was actually talking to a friend of mine about, and he was like, well, what's the difference? And I was like, I don't know.
That's a good question, and this is something that I thought a lot about whenever I started this YouTube channel, and I kind of use both terms synonymously. Hiking, for a lot of people, that just means day hikes. So basically you're going out and the only things you're taking are the things that you need for a short trip so you can come back to the car. Food, water, maybe a filter if you're hiking a lot of miles and you got to drink more water than you carry. Backpacking typically means to me that you got a pack large enough that you can carry all the things that you need to sleep in the woods. There's also urban backpacking, which I don't really cover on this channel, but my wife and I have talked about maybe backpacking in different places in Europe and seeing some really cool stuff. So that's kind of the differences, but it depends on the context of the conversation a lot of times.
Okay. All right. Is there anything that I should be doing to prepare for my first trip of hiking, backpacking?
Well, you're a little bit of an anomaly because I have some experience, as you guys know, and Nate, as you know. So I kind of know the ropes, and I know what you need, what you don't need, that kind of stuff. But everybody's hike's different. So I'm not trying to give you a cop-out answer. There are things that you need to do to prepare, but it's going to be a lot less than what some of the subscribers would have to do, because you don't really have to plan the trip. I'm going to keep you in the loop, and I'm going to do all that work for you. Okay. And I'm going to kind of show you everything that you need and supply you with it other than clothes and food. So typically what a person would do to prepare is, if you're just starting out, you could do some typical exercises and prepare your body physically. You're probably not going to be out there too long if it's your first hike. So you'd basically just have to figure out, are you going out and back, like leaving from your vehicle and then hiking back to it? Or are you doing a loop back to your vehicle? Kind of how long you want your trip to be, that kind of stuff. Looking at the weather, seeing what gear you need, what time of year, that type of thing. And you'd also have to know all the gear that you need to take, okay, which I'm going to take care of that for you.
And that actually goes into my next question, because I don't know if this is going to be something that I'm going to want to enjoy doing. So I don't want to spend a lot of money on it. So what's the minimum cost for only necessities when starting hiking? And then also, what's the cost if I wanted to spend a little more to be more efficient while doing it?
All right. That's more than one question, and I'll try to answer.
Yeah. Two-piece.
So part one, what's the minimum amount that you need to spend? If you're borrowing gear like I did, on my first trip, I done a 3-nighter through the Smokies. So the cost was very, very little to me. I basically had to buy my permit, and I went in on a hotel room that we got the night before, so we could start early. If you're talking gear-wise, I would start by borrowing gear and not spending much on that. And if you want to invest a little more in doing and start like going lighter weight, kind of budget friendly, I'd say, man, it's hard to put a number on it. I mean, I spent so much money, but just because I choose to. I can't give you an X dollar amount. I would say some great resources to check out. Look online, read reviews, make sure you're checking websites like REI. They have the REI outlet. Used to be REI Garage, I believe, and so they have a lot of sales and that kind of stuff. Try not to pay full price for anything, but I don't have a dollar amount to give you. If you want lightweight, typically it's expensive.
Okay. I'd say one of the biggest things that I would worry about would be the type of shoes that I'm wearing, since we are hiking. So do I need anything specific for that?
No, not in particular. You don't really need any specific shoes. I know my wife, she bought some New Balance Trail Runners for her first pair of shoes, and I bought some Merrell waterproof boots for my first experience, and we have both since not used those very much. I switched to Ultras, and she did as well. But for your first trip, I would say just any old pair of running shoes, tennis shoes would work. You want some traction. If you decide to get into it more, you can start buying specific shoes for it.
Okay. From watching one of your videos, which was actually your first hike that you were covering, you mentioned the word, I guess this is slang, it's hiker midnight, and I just want to know what that was.
So, hiker midnight, to give some context, if you're doing a long distance hike, so maybe the Appalachian Trail, and you'll be out there 5 or 6 months, you hike all day, you're usually pretty tired when you get done, because you've hiked anywhere from 0 miles to, who knows, 20, 25, so you're tired, and you get to camp early enough, and you eat, and you just kind of want to go to sleep. So hiker midnight, it could be 8 p.m. or a lot of people just consider it dark. As soon as it's dark, people are crawling in their sleeping bags and hitting the hay.
Okay.
But we'll stay up a little later.
All right. And so with that, do they also do that, like go to bed right at dark because they're waking up earlier to try to get more miles in the day?
That's a great question. I believe so. Whenever everybody gets to hike their own hike, right? That's like the stereotypical thing, hike your own hike, which basically means within the confines of the law and the principles of leave no trace, you kind of just hike at your own pace, stop when you need to, eat what you want, just kind of do your own thing. So I like to wake up, I've decided recently, and watch the sunrise if I can. So if I can go to sleep early, I'll be well rested and still have time to get up. So typically, especially long distance hikes, you have a deadline, right? So you have to, on some days, you just got to make your miles, and that's the way it is. Otherwise, you won't finish your hike. So I think so, but I've never done a longer distance hike than the Foothills Trail, and that was less than 80 miles. So
okay. What kind of foods are good for taking backpacking?
One of the favorite things to talk about in the backpacking world, food. The best foods to take. So you want to get a well-rounded, diet in, if you will. So a typical meal for me would kind of be, for dinner, maybe some mashed potatoes and put some chicken or tuna in there. That's in a package. Cheese sticks. Another great thing, I like pepperonis or salami because you don't have to refrigerate them. You're out on trail. Put that on tortillas. Some peanut butter, like the Jif to go, the little cups of Jif. That's good. So there's no perfect thing. And what you'll see is, especially on longer distances, like we won't do too far. It's your first time, we're trying to get a good hike in. But on longer distances, you just can't put enough calories into your body. You'll see a lot of people that come back and they'll be exponentially smaller after a long distance hike, after being out on trail for a long time. So you want to get calorically dense foods. So hopefully that helps answer.
Okay. And how much water is enough water? You mentioned something about, at the beginning of this, a filter.
Yeah. So enough water. Every circumstance is different, right? If it's hotter, you're probably sweating more. The harder you're hiking, the more you're sweating. You want water, but you also want electrolytes. I like to try to do 2 liters of water every 3 to 4 miles. I try to. Sometimes that just doesn't happen. Sometimes I have to camel up, which means that you stop at a water source and you drink a lot while you're there. Some people don't like that because they say, well, you're just peeing it out, right? You're chugging a whole bunch, you just pee it out. Also, if you're female, just physiologically, it's a lot easier for guys to stop and pee whenever you're backpacking, you know? So if you're female, like I got friends and, you know, my wife, they don't like to drink a whole lot while they're hiking. They like to drink more while they're at camp because you have to stop and pee all the time. And so they drop their packs whenever they pee. Some females don't. They got those strong squatting legs that I don't have. So that may sound like a lot of water to you. And also it's important to get those electrolytes in. So I know some people that'll take a bottle of Gatorade with them, or when they resupply if they're doing longer distances and you got to stop every 3 to 5 days and get more food and that kind of stuff. They'll get Gatorade, or we use Noon tablets. And everything I'm talking about, I'll link in the description, but Noon tablets are pretty much electrolyte supplements that you put into your water. So it allows your body to help absorb more water. And you're not going to be able to carry enough water if you're hiking 10 miles. You just can't do it. Or I guess if you're doing longer than that, I should say.
That's kind of where the question came from is, I know that you don't want to carry too much weight that you can handle. Mm-hmm. So then that's where it comes in. Like, you probably need a lot of water, and that's going to weigh you down.
Yeah, 1 liter of water weighs 2.2 pounds. So it's literally going to be the heaviest thing you put into your pack.
Okay.
So you want to bring a water filter like you mentioned. I use a Sawyer Squeeze or a Sawyer Micro. I have the Sawyer Mini as well. Basically, Sawyer's just a filter company that makes filters that cleanse water, 99.9% of the germs or pathogens or whatever's in there that's going to make you sick. It won't make you sick because it's filtered out at a microscopic level. So we'll definitely take a couple of those on our hike.
Okay.
All right, next question.
All right. What is slack pack? I heard mentioned.
So slack pack or slack packing means that basically you're hiking without a backpack. So in my opinion, it's a lot easier. And there's some sections of the Appalachian Trail that people will pay somebody to take their backpack from one part to another, and then they'll kind of hike all day and just have their food and water. And pretty much you're killing miles with very little weight on your back. One thing that my wife and I do is we will get to camp early sometimes, and we'll set up our camp and leave our backpacks and gear there. And I like to bring like a little just cheap drawstring backpack that you get for free at maybe a career fair or at church or wherever, and bring food and water in that. So you can set up camp and then you can kind of explore out around there depending on the terrain.
Okay. All right, I've got 2 more.
Okay.
What's the one thing to remember in order to have the most fun?
Wow. I would say number 1 may be to do enough research where you know what not to do, basically so you can stay safe. Because if you're not safe, it's pretty much going to defeat the entire trip. But I would say coming in at a close second and kind of ties to that is you have to have the proper gear. For instance, if I'm going out and it's going to be in the teens, I'm going to need a sleeping bag that's warmer than 60 degrees, right, because I'm going to freeze to death and die. So proper gear probably, and just staying safe in general, making sure you're planning out your trip enough that, Petey, making sure that you're planning out your trip enough that you know you can stay safe.
Okay. And then another one, what is the number 1 all-time rule to backpacking?
Oh, man. In the backpacking world, it would probably be leave no trace.
Okay.
So what that means, without going into too much detail, and if you want detail, I've already made a video about it. You can check that out up above. But there's 7 principles, and if you follow those 7 principles, it's going to help preserve things so other people can enjoy the backcountry as much as you can. So that would be the overarching rule, if you will.
Okay.
All right.
And I'm sure that I'm going to have plenty more after we do this trip, but that's all I've got for now.
Nate, stay tuned with me. Guys, now we're going to Dan Becker. Dan, tell us about those 2 headlamps.
What's going on, Jeremiah? How you doing, buddy? Thanks for having me on. Again, I really appreciate it. Always good to be with you. Love being here. Wanted to share with you just a couple of different headlamps. My go-to headlamps. I'm kind of a headlamp freak. I own between 10 and 15 different headlamps, from Olight to Nitecore to those cheap Energizer ones to Black Diamond. You name it, I've probably got it. I've got tons of different headlamps. So I'll talk really quickly about 2 of my absolute favorite. First one is the ever popular Nitecore NU25, and I think I am a good person to talk about this because I was one of the first people to buy this. I always say that. I was one of the first people to buy this. I bought this before it was even popular because I was a Nitecore fan for several years. Anyway, found this light awesome. Okay, so why do I like this light? Well, it only weighs an ounce. And I made it lighter by doing this nerdy headband mod that everybody seems to be doing, which is totally useless because it only saves you like a half an ounce. You'd probably never know the difference. Otherwise, it comes with this strap right here. But I love this headlamp because 360 lumens of power out of a rechargeable headlamp that weighs an ounce. The light on it is beautiful. It's a beautiful flood, and it gives just a really decent hot spot. So night hiking is great. Also, the red light on this thing is one of the brightest red lights ever. It's 13 lumens. Now, it may not sound like a lot, but for a red light, this is super bright. It's got 2 different levels of red light, from the medium or the low all the way up to the 13 lumens here. The light here, it just bursts with power. Fantastic light. IPX6 waterproof, which means that you can essentially encounter any type of weather and you'll be fine. From downpours to rain to just getting wet altogether. You can't submerge it. Obviously, if you're going to go swimming, don't wear your headlamp. But it's a great headlamp. It'll meet all your hiking needs. So fantastic hiking headlamp. All right, the next one I want to show you is one that I've had for a while now, and it's the Black Diamond Revolt. And why do I love this light? Well, I'll prove it to you that I absolutely love this light because I got 1, I got 2, I got 3. I got 3 of these bad boys here. You're probably like, well, Dan, why do you have 3 of those lights? Well, the first one I bought actually came defective. The button on top of it didn't work. And so all I did, I'll brag on this light, and the reason why I still love this light is because I emailed Black Diamond. All they wanted was an order number, no questions, no pictures. They literally sent me a brand new light in 2 days and told me to keep the old one. So fantastic customer service. I'm a Black Diamond customer for life. The reason I love this headlamp, all right, several reasons. One, you get 300 lumens of power out of this thing if you use regular alkaline AAA batteries. So if you're the kind of guy that likes to use the regular AAA batteries, you can use this headlamp. If you're the kind of guy that likes to recharge your headlamp, you could still use this because it comes with rechargeable AAA batteries, but you got to only use their batteries. They don't let you use any other kind of AAA batteries to recharge. They won't work. It's got this USB charging port here on the side, and then it's IPX8 waterproof. So this thing you could go swimming with if you really wanted to. It's got 300 lumens. It's a variable brightness, so really cool variable brightness. So it kind of goes up and down to whatever level you want. It's got a good red light feature here, which is also a variable as well. So the variable brightness on the red light feature. And then if you want to have like instant power, say you're just, man, you just want all the way up. All you do is touch the side of this thing and it kicks all the way into high power. So it's pretty cool. The light on here isn't as good as the NU25. In other words, it's a little bit bluish. It's a little more spotty. It's not as bright, but really it's absolutely sufficient. But the runtime is what is so fantastic. So if you're like me and you're claustrophobic in hammocks and tents and that kind of thing, you want to be able to see outside and you want to have some ambient light all night long, you can leave this thing on all night long, no problems whatsoever. with regular alkaline batteries. 45 lumens for 175 hours. So this thing will last you an eternity. You never have to worry about recharging this thing. So that's why I really like this headlamp. So anyway, just a couple different headlamps for you. The Nitecore NU25 and then also the Black Diamond Revolt. These are my two favorite headlamps of all time. My wife owns one. I own one. I got a broken one of this bad boy. It's great. Just love them. So thanks so much, Jeremiah, for having me. And I hope to see you again.
Thank you, Dan. I really appreciate it, man. Always a pleasure having you on. And I can't wait to see you in another episode. All right, third, we have our subscriber hack of the day. Today's subscriber hack comes from Jordan Ebling. Jordan, it's kind of also a shout out. He recently started a YouTube channel, and I really enjoyed his poop video. So make sure you guys check that out if you want to, if you want to learn about how to poop in the woods. Anyway, his hack, without further ado, is you can take your sleeping bag, which they're rated by temperature, and you can push the limits a little bit. Slight disclaimer though, make sure you do your research, know what the weather's going to be, and stay safe out there. But you can stay warmer by taking your sleeping bag and putting a fleece bag liner in it. And that means that you can take it to colder temperatures and still stay warm. Also, Jordan says that you can use down booties, which are basically like fluffy socks with goose down feathers in them to keep your feet warm. You can also pair it with maybe a down jacket if you're feeling a little bit cold, or one of my favorites, sleeping with a beanie on to keep the top of your head warm. So thank you, Jordan. I appreciate it. Make sure if you all want to be featured in the subscriber hack of the day, comment below and tell me your subscriber hack and hashtag it subscriber hack. That way I know exactly what it is. Thank you. I appreciate it. Make sure you like, subscribe, smash that notification bell, do all the YouTube things. We'll see you in the next episode.